the GBI's Athens Regional Office. We were notified of an active shooter situation at Appalachia High School, and myself and a number of other agents from the Athens Regional Office dispatched ourselves to the high school in order to assist, and we were ultimately tasked with the investigation.
Okay. As part of your investigation, were you able to look at surveillance video that was captured by the school surveillance system?
Yes, sir, I was.
Okay. And were you able to see all the video that pertained to Colin Gray arriving at the school up until the point he was apprehended?
Yes, sir. I was provided a number of video clips, and the video clips included footage from a school bus, hallway surveillance video footage, and also surveillance video footage from within classrooms.
And based on this footage, were you able to piece together Colin Gray's movements throughout from when he arrived at the school until he was apprehended?
Yes, sir, I was.
Okay. Were you able to, at that time, how did Cole arrive at the school?
Colin Gray arrived to the school via a Barrow County school bus. The school bus picked him up from his residence at approximately 7:46 a.m. on September the 4th, and he boarded the bus, and it transported him to Appalachia High School.
Okay. When he boarded the bus, did he have a firearm on him or with him?
It was not immediately obvious, but through other investigative acts that were conducted in the case, we did determine that he did have a firearm in his possession when he boarded the school bus.
How was it concealed when he boarded the school bus?
The firearm was located in his book bag. It was a rifle, so it was long, so it did not fit in his book bag entirely. We determined that the rifle was protruding out of his book bag, and that the part of the rifle that was protruding from the book bag was concealed with a rolled up poster board. And just by a quick glance, it appeared that Colin Gray was possibly transporting a school project.
Okay. And when he arrived at the school, where did he go?
After arriving at the school, Colt traveled to his first period class, which was in classroom number 1.515, and that was located on the G Hall of Appalachia High School. It took him maybe 2-3 minutes to travel to the classroom after getting off the bus. During that time, based on my review of the surveillance video, it did not look like he engaged with any other students, and he maintained control of the book bag the entire time.
When he was in the classroom, his first period classroom, did he leave the classroom at any point?
Yes, sir. He did leave the classroom at approximately 8:30 a.m. Colt Gray got up and spoke to the first period teacher, who we identified as Miss Suzanne Harris. It appeared that he asked to use the restroom. Surveillance video showed him exiting the classroom, traveling up G Hall, and then ultimately entering a student restroom that was located on G Hall. He was in the restroom for a few minutes, and then he returned to the classroom and appeared to continue with the lesson plan for the day.
Did he stay in the classroom for the remainder of first period?
Yes, sir, he did.
What happened when first period ended?
After first period, Colt Gray left the classroom with the book bag with the poster board still inserted in it in his possession. He then traveled through K Hall and ultimately turned onto J Hall, where his second period classroom was located. The second period classroom was identified as classroom number, classroom number 2.151, and the teacher of that classroom was identified as Miss Catherine Greer. It was a math class.
Okay. And what did he do once he arrived in the classroom?
Mr. Gray sat down at a desk, and he propped the book, or he placed the backpack on the floor, propped the poster board against the desk, and it appeared that he was preparing for class. He, at one point before class actually started, he produced a black notebook or binder from his backpack, opened it and placed it on his desk, and then he sat there for several minutes on his phone. It wasn't clear if he was typing or texting or what he was doing on his phone, but he was actively using his phone.
Okay. How long did he stay in that classroom? I don't need the exact time period. When did he leave the classroom?
He left the classroom at approximately 9:54 a.m. So he was in the classroom for approximately 20 minutes or so before he left. Based on information obtained during the investigation, Mr. Gray asked the teacher, Ms. Greer, if he could leave the class in order to go see the counselor. She granted him permission to do that. He obtained a hall pass from the classroom, and then he departed the classroom.
Did he take anything with him when he left the classroom?
He took his book bag.
Did he leave anything in the classroom when he left?
Yes, sir. He left the black notebook that he had placed on the desk.
And was it still open?
Yes, sir, it was.
Okay. Before we follow Colt Gray, let's stay with that black notebook. Were you able to follow the video as far as to what happened to that black notebook?
Yes, sir. During my review of the in-classroom camera from that particular classroom, the notebook remained on the desk for an extended period of time. It remained open up until the point where a student that was seated next to Colt Gray closed the notebook and placed it on a whiteboard that was behind her. And the notebook remained in that position throughout the remainder of the day. While, of course, after the shooting occurred, while GBI crime scene agents were processing the scene, that notebook was recovered.
Okay. Now let's go back to Colt. So when Colt left the classroom at 9:54, is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
At 9:54, where did he go?
He went to a restroom, a student restroom located on J Hall.
Did he take the book bag with him?
Yes, sir, he did.
Okay. And were you able to determine what stall he went? I know not from camera video, but from other investigations later, were you able to determine what stall he went into?
Yes, sir. Of course, there were no cameras inside the restrooms, but upon a inspection of that restroom area, there were some items of evidence that were associated with Colt Gray inside the first stall within that restroom.
Okay. How long did Colt Gray remain in that restroom?
He remained.
I don't need you to do math on the stand. You'll tell us when
I appreciate
he left.
that, sir. He exited the restroom at 10:21 a.m.
Okay. And what did he have with him when he exited at 10:21?
At the time that Colt Gray exited the J Hall restroom, he was wearing yellow gloves that he had not previously been wearing. The white poster board that had been inside the backpack was no longer there. He was carrying the backpack in his left hand. The white poster board was. He appeared to have it wrapped around his lower torso as if to conceal something.
Okay. Where did he go at that point?
Mr. Gray proceeded to return back to his second period classroom, which was classroom 2.151.
What happened when you arrived there?
The door to the classroom was secured. Based on video footage, it appeared that Mr. Gray stood outside of the classroom door for approximately a minute. At some point, I should note that none of the video that I reviewed had any audio associated with it. But based off the reaction of students in the classroom, it looked like Mr. Gray may have knocked on the door. A student stood up and appeared to be preparing to open the door. She observed Colt through the door's window. In her reaction, she backed away from the door. She put her hand over her mouth, and she appeared to get the attention of Miss Greer, who also went to the window, observed Mr. Gray, and immediately told students to get into the corner of the classroom. Miss Greer then took control of a badge that she was wearing and pushed a button that initiated a lockdown procedure.
Okay. What did Mr. Colt Gray do at that point?
Colt Gray moved to his left and went to the door of classroom 2.152, which was identified as Miss Cassie Ryan's classroom. He entered that classroom and proceeded to fire the rifle into that classroom.
Did he fire one time or multiple times?
He fired multiple times.
Okay. Were you able to tell about how many times or from the video?
No, sir. Once once Colt Gray started discharging the rifle, there was a lot of dust and debris that obscured some of the camera footage. So I was not able to determine based off that video how many times he discharged the rifle, but it was clear and obvious that he did discharge the rifle multiple times.
Were people in that classroom struck?
Yes, sir.
Do you know about how many?
I believe it was 6 or 7 individuals were injured in that classroom.
And was anyone killed in that classroom?
Yes, sir. Student Christian Angulo was killed in that classroom.
Okay. How long was Colt in the classroom? Again, I don't need you to do math. You'll just tell us about what time he left the classroom.
His actions in that classroom were approximately 7 seconds.
Okay. And what did he do when he left that classroom?
He backed out of the classroom, and he proceeded to run down J Hall in the direction that he had originally come from the bathroom. So he ran back towards the in the general direction of the bathrooms. While he was running, video footage showed him in possession of the rifle, carrying it, and at approximately 11:29, or excuse me, 11. Correction. Let me start that over. At approximately 10:22 a.m. And 29 seconds, the video depicted Colt shouldering the rifle, aiming it, and discharging several rounds. And those rounds impacted teacher Christina Ermy.
Was she struck?
Yes, sir, she was.
And did she die from her injuries?
Yes, sir, she did.
Okay. What happened at that point with Colt?
Almost immediately after firing at Miss Ermy, Colt turned his attention down I Hall.
Did he go down I Hall, or did he just turn his attention that way?
He just turned his attention that way. He did not access I Hall. I Hall and J Hall intersect, and when he reached that intersection after firing at Miss Ermy, he turned his body and the rifle towards I Hall, but he did not travel down I Hall.
Okay. What did he do when he turned his attention down I Hall?
He observed Coach Aspinwall and Coach Phoenix, and video depicted him discharging multiple rounds towards the coaches.
Were they struck?
Yes, sir. They were both struck.
And did Coach Aspinwall, was he killed by his injuries?
Yes, sir. He was.
And was Coach Phoenix killed?
Coach Phoenix was not killed. He was severely wounded.
Okay. What happened with Colt at that point?
Colt continued traveling down. He turned his attention back down J Hall. Video footage appeared to show him searching for more targets or trying to access other classrooms. He didn't pull on any door handles. I believe he was just looking for open classroom doors. Once he reached the end of J Hall, he stopped and turned around, and it was that point that another student exited the restrooms.
Who was that student?
That was student Mason Schermerhorn.
Mm-hmm.
Colt Gray was positioned behind Mason at a distance. Mason did not see Colt initially, and the video footage depicted Colt again shouldering the rifle, aiming, and discharging multiple rounds at Mason Schermerhorn.
Okay. What did Colt do at that point?
Shortly after...
I'm sorry. Did Mason Schermerhorn, was he struck by the...
Yes, sir, he was.
And was he killed by the actions of Colt?
Yes, sir, he was.
Okay. What did Colt do at that point?
At that point, within a matter of 2 or 3 seconds, 2 Barrow County Sheriff's Office school resource officers entered J Hall. They had their weapons drawn and aimed at Colt, and it appeared that they were issuing verbal commands. Colt placed the rifle on the ground. He raised his hands, ultimately laid down on the ground, and surrendered himself to the school resource officers, who were able to take him into custody.
Okay. And was the firearm taken into custody at that point?
Not at that point. It remained where he dropped it, and the firearm was ultimately recovered by GBI crime scene agents during the processing of the scene.
And what kind of firearm was that?
It was a black in color Sig Sauer Sig M400 rifle. There was 1 magazine loaded in the rifle, which was found to contain 18 rounds, and there was also 1 round in the chamber of the rifle at the time of recovery.
What was the capacity of that magazine?
The capacity of that particular magazine was 60 rounds.
Okay. Were there other magazines found in Colt Gray's possession?
Yes, sir. There were an additional 3 magazines located in his possession, one of which was a 30-round capacity magazine, and there were additional 60-round capacity magazines in his possession.
And what type of ammunition was used in this attack?
Based on crime scene examinations, the ammunition was all 5.56 or 223 ammunition. Most of it appeared to be Winchester branded ammunition.
I want to take your attention back to the notebook that Colt had left in the classroom. Could you basically describe, was that notebook, I think you said earlier, recovered by crime scene specialists with GBI?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
And were you able to see what was inside that notebook?
Yes, sir. What was inside the notebook appeared to be writings and drawings from Mr. Gray.
Okay. And what were those writings and drawings?
There were various writings. There was a 2-page section in the notebook that appeared to be a written plan of how to execute the shooting. There were also various sketches that appeared to depict Miss Greer's classroom.
And was that sketch accurate with what you saw as the layout of her classroom?
Yes, sir, it was.
Okay.
There were also some additional writings where it appeared that Mr. Gray was estimating possible casualty counts.
Okay. And you could describe, you said there was one, the detailed planning of it?
Yes, sir.
You could describe that to us.
Would you like me to read it, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, this is a quote from the pages that were in Mr. Gray's notebook. Second, walk from first to the bathroom, so I'll set my bag down, open it, put on a vest, take a moment or two to stay calm and really think about if I want to do this. Take out the poster covering the rifle, take out rifle and prop it against the stall. Vest should be on at this point. Get out gloves, put them on, they're in your backpack. Clap a few times to make sure they're on tight. Once done, zip up backpack. Check mag slots in vest. At this point, there's a diagram that's drawn depicting the rifle magazines. Next page. Onto the thing. Wait a bit. Make sure no one was walking in or out of the bathroom. Gloves should be on. Take out your 60 rounder and put it in and chamber around. Okay. Turn on your red dot. Aim down at the floor. Make sure your sight is on. Check your vest and make sure it's on tight. Once done, check stock to make sure it's in your preferred setting. Put on hat. Make sure hair is out of your face. Set backpack to the side. Pick up rifle with right hand. Open stall door with left. Don't shoot anyone in the bathroom. You'll alert people.
You said that he had an estimate on casualties.
Yes, sir.
What was that?
There was a page in the notebook identified. Excuse me. The top of the page is labeled hallway and classroom. In the hallway column, it's written, I'm thinking 3 to 4 people killed, injured, ? 4 to 5. Under the classroom column is written 15 to 17 killed, injured ? 2 to 3. Further down the page is written classroom 2, 3 to 5 killed, injured 2 to 3. And in parentheses off to the side it says, surprised if I make it this far.
And this was all in the notebook that was found in the classroom that he had left when he went to the bathroom.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
I want to take your attention now to another part of your investigation. Did you interview a Lisa Butler, who was a counselor at the Appalachian High School?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. When was it that you interviewed her?
I interviewed her on September the 4th at approximately 4:30 p.m. Myself and Special Agent Ashley Isaacson conducted that interview with Miss Butler.
Okay. And what was her job duties and what was her role at the school?
Miss Butler told us that she was a school counselor for Appalachian High School and that she was also Colt Gray's assigned school counselor.
Okay. And prior to September 4th, did she have any interactions with Colt Gray?
Yes, sir, she did. She described having had 2 prior encounters with Colt Gray. The first one was during the week of August the 5th. And that was when Colt and Mr. Colin Gray came to Appalachian High School in order to enroll Colt in the school.
Okay. And did anything happen on that day out of the ordinary?
Nothing out of the ordinary, no, sir.
Okay. And that was Colin Gray. Who was Colin Gray to Colt Gray?
That was his father, sir.
Okay. And did she have the second time she had an interaction with Colt Gray?
Miss Butler described having a second interaction with Colt Gray, possibly August the 14th. She advised that Colt came to her office and expressed that he was suffering a severe anxiety attack. A Appalachian High School staff member had escorted Colt to her office and mentioned at that time that Colt had made comments that showed possible suicidal ideations. Miss Butler told us that while Colt was in her office speaking with her, he was shaking and rocking back and forth uncontrollably. Miss Butler stated that she spoke with Colt Gray, asked him if he had any intent to harm himself. He denied that, but she was also unable to get him calmed down. And Miss Butler assessed at that time that Colt was not suitable to continue with classes on that particular day due to his condition.
What did she do at that point?
At that time, Miss Butler tried to call, she advised that she tried to call Colin Gray, but he did not answer her phone call. Miss Butler then requested Colt Gray to call his father using his cell phone, and Mr. Colin Gray did answer that call. Miss Butler stated that she spoke with Colin Gray, informed him of Colt's condition, what he was experiencing, and what she was observing. And she requested Mr. Colin Gray to come pick Colt up from school. Miss Butler advised that Colin informed her that he would not be picking Colt up from school. He was working, and she mentioned that he stated that he was stuck on I-85 at that time. He further advised that there were no other family members that could come get him.
Okay. Did she express to Colin Gray Colt Gray's state and what he'd been going through?
Yes, sir. Miss Butler told us that she did describe Colt Gray's state to Colin, advised him of the anxiety attack and what her observations were in that moment, and how she did not feel that he was suitable to continue classes.
And did Colin Gray ever come to pick up Colt Gray?
No, sir.
On that day?
No, sir. Colt ultimately was able to calm down, and according to Miss Butler, at approximately 2:30 that afternoon, he was returned to class.
Okay. I want to take you to September 4th. Did she receive any calls that day from Colin Gray about his son?
From Colin Gray, sir?
Yes, sir.
Not that she described to me, no, sir.
Okay. So he never called the school on that day to her?
Not that I'm aware of, no, sir.
And did she receive a call from Marcy Gray?
Yes, sir. She described receiving a phone call from Marcy Gray at approximately 9:50 a.m. Marcy Gray was identified as Colt Gray's mother, and Miss Butler described to me that Marcy expressed concern for Colt, and that Colt had texted something to her that day that led Marcy to believe that something bad was imminent. She wasn't sure what it was, but she also told Miss Butler that Colt had a fascination with school shooters and school shootings. And Marcy further advised Miss Butler that Colt did have the means and access to firearms through his household.
Okay. And how did he receive those through his household?
I'm sorry, sir?
How did Colt have access through his household to firearms?
I did not personally go to Colt's house.
Did Marcy say anything about it?
Marcy said that Marcy told Miss Butler that Colin Gray owned several firearms and that they were located in the house.
Just a second, please. That's all the questions I have, Ron.
Good morning, Eddie.
Good morning, sir.
And how long have you been a special agent?
Coming up on 5 years, sir.
Okay. And were you in law enforcement prior to the time that you went with the GBI?
I was a probation and parole officer with the Department of Community Supervision prior to my employment with the GBI.
Okay. And as I understand, in the investigation of this case, the two primary things that you did, assume you went to the school
Yes, sir.
and observed the area there at the school and spoke with Miss Butler. Is that correct?
Those are some of the things that I did. Yes, sir. I did conduct other interviews as well.
Okay, and tell us the other interviews that you conducted.
I spoke with Assistant Principal D. Martin. I spoke with Miss Butler. I spoke with Miss Greer.
I'm sorry, Ms. Greer?
Yes, sir. The Colt Gray second period teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke with Miss Ryan. I spoke with Miss Valerie Lancaster. And I also spoke with Miss Suzanne Harris, who was Colt Gray's first period teacher.
And I assume that all of these interviews were recorded?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and those have been turned over to the district attorney's office?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Other than those interviews, is there any other interviews that you've conducted?
Not personally, no, sir.
Okay. Is there any other thing that you have done in this case since you completed your last interview?
Since I've completed my last interview, I conducted the video review, so the review of all the surveillance video that I obtained. I assisted in facilitating transport of certain items of evidence, including cell phones, in order to get those extracted. And I participated in a number of other things. It wasn't just the interviews and the video review. There were several other things that I participated in.
Okay. Are you the actual case agent in this case? Are you going to be classified as a case agent? Or?
No, sir, I'm not the case agent. I assisted the case agent with this investigation.
Okay. You indicated that you assisted in collecting cell phones. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and whose cell phones did you collect?
One of the cell phones was the property of Colt Gray. That cell phone was actually physically collected by GBI crime scene personnel.
Mm-hmm.
That phone was subsequently turned over to me, and I transported it to the Barrow County Sheriff's Office in order to have it extracted.
Okay.
Upon completion of the extraction, that cell phone was placed into evidence at the Athens Regional or GBI Athens Regional Office.
Okay. And did you do anything from the standpoint of reviewing what was extracted from the telephone?
No, sir. The Barrow County Sheriff's Office conducted the review of the extracted data.
Okay, so you have not been made aware of what was on that phone?
Not in complete detail, no, sir.
All right.
Only through conversation.
And was that the only cell phone that you're aware of that was confiscated in this investigation?
There were other phones that were confiscated. At the time that I transported Colt's cell phone to the sheriff's office, I also was provided with Colin Gray's cell phone, and the procedures for that were the same. I brought it to the sheriff's office in order to facilitate the extraction of that device. Upon completion, it was also placed into evidence at the GBI Athens Regional Office, And similarly, I have not reviewed full contents of that phone.
And were you instrumental in obtaining a search warrant for the search of that phone?
Another special agent obtained the search warrant for Colt Gray's cell phone, and Colin Gray's cell phone was obtained through consent.
Through consent. Okay. Now, did you have an occasion to talk with Colin Gray at any time?
No, sir, I have not spoken with Mr. Colin Gray.
And you never went to his residence?
That's correct.
Do you know whether or not his truck was searched?
I am not aware, sir.
I just have a few questions. I'm not going to belabor, but you had indicated that Colt was texting on the telephone somewhere between first period and second period. Is that correct?
There were multiple occasions throughout that morning where he appeared to be texting, or at least engaged with his phone, starting from the time that he got onto the school bus, through various points during the first period class, and also at some points while he was in the second period classroom.
And through your extraction, did you find out who he had been texting during that time period?
I did not personally review the extractions in order to obtain that information. I was verbally informed who it was believed that he was texting.
Okay, and who did you get that verbal indication from?
Investigators with the sheriff's office.
Okay, do you remember who that may have been?
That would be investigator Jason Smith.
Okay. And reviewing the video, you told us you observed Colt with the backpack and with this cardboard wrapped around would have been wrapped around the barrel, I assume, of the weapon.
Yes, sir.
And when he left the first time, left the classroom, and he left the backpack, was the gun still there?
Presumably, yes, sir. The backpack remained in the first period classroom, and the protruding poster board was still there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the poster board and its contents were propped against the table that Colt Gray was seated at.
Okay. So the backpack had been left in the classroom while he was gone.
That's correct.
And then he took the backpack the second time that he left.
Yes, sir.
That's when he went to the bathroom, I assume.
Yes, sir.
All right. When you spoke with Miss Butler, did she indicate that she had had any other conversations or attempted conversations with Colin Gray or Marcy Gray from August the 14th on?
She indicated that she had communicated with Colin Gray previously in reference to Colt, and that she had tried to offer counseling resources, and she had also provided forms in physical and electronic copies to authorize Colt to participate in counseling. She specifically mentioned a program. I can't recall the name of it at this time, but I do recall that she mentioned a program where a counselor could come to the school and meet with Colt. She also mentioned that Colin Gray had expressed some concerns about being able to pay for counseling. Those, best of my memory, those are some of the conversations that she had with Colin Gray.
Okay. And do you know whether the documentation of that, the paperwork for that, was ever located?
Not by me. I'm not sure, sir.
All right. Let me just ask you a couple of questions about this weapon. You indicated that it was an M400 rifle.
Yes, sir.
And tell us exactly what an M400 rifle is.
I'm not personally familiar with Sig Sauer rifles, having never personally handled one, but based off of the photos that I've seen, based off seeing it at the crime scene itself, it appears to be an AR-15 platform rifle, semi-automatic, magazine-fed rifle, black in color.
All right. Well, it was about 54 years ago when I was in the military, so I don't know much about the guns today. But you said it was a semi-automatic, not an automatic.
Correct.
Okay. And I'm not going to, since you're not an expert, I'm not going to ask you the difference, but that's what you understood, that it was semi-automatic, correct?
Yes, sir.
The black notebook, which we've had an opportunity to take a look at, do you know when those notations were made? When Colt was interviewed, did he make any indication or give any indication as to when that was written?
Not that I'm aware of, sir. In reviewing the notebook, I didn't see anything specifically indicating dates or times when any of these notations were made.
Okay, so it could have been made the night before, that morning. Really don't know at this point, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else, Mr. Smith?
No, Your Honor. Ask to be excused.
Yes, sir. Ms. Cameron.
Thank you, Judge.
Call the next witness.
The state calls Agent Kelsey Ward.
Just say her name one more time for me.
Kelsey Ward, K-E-L-S-E-W-A-R-D.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I swear.
Can you introduce yourself to the court?
Yes, I'm Special Agent Kelsey Ward. I am a GBI agent at the Regional 11 Field Office in Athens, Georgia.
And does that office cover Barry County?
It does.
In your capacity as a special agent there, did you become involved in an investigation into the Appalachia High School shooting?
I did.
And how did you become involved in that?
I received a text message from my supervisor as I was returning to the office that morning from another case I was working on. And when I pulled in the parking lot, I observed the other agents at that office donning their gear and leaving the parking lot, at which point I was informed that there had been a shooting and that we were all en route to the location at the high school.
In or as part of your investigation, did you create a timeline of events leading up to the September 4th shooting?
I did.
And at this time, I'd like to go through that timeline with you. Can we start with May 21st of 2023? What happened on that day?
On May 21st, 2023, the Jackson County Sheriff's Office made contact with Colt and Colin Gray at their residence in Jackson County in reference to an FBI tip that had come in to their office about some school-related shooting threats that had been made on the app Discord.
Okay. And what was the discussion, I guess, with Colin about the nature of the tip and what the reason that the sheriff's office was there?
When the deputies arrived at their residence, Colin came to the door alone. The deputies asked him to come outside to speak with them, which he did. They had a general conversation about the children that he had who was living at the home at the time. He stated that his oldest son, Colt, was living at the residence with him. They discussed if there were firearms in the residence, to which he said there were. They asked if those firearms were loaded. He said they were not loaded at the residence. They asked if Colt had access to those firearms. He said he did. Collins stated that Colt did have access to them. They discussed some previous bullying that Colt had experienced at schools he had attended in the past, and some other anxiety that Colt had experienced.
And what happened at that point?
At that point, they asked if they could specifically speak to Colt. Colin agreed and returned inside the residence to retrieve his son. Colt came outside, and the deputies asked him, did you say that?
And when he said, did you say that, what were they referring to?
Colt indicated that his dad had somewhat briefed him inside the residence about what the deputies were at their home to discuss. They didn't really provide Colt with any specific background about what they were there for. They just asked, did you say it? To which he said he believed they might have misunderstood. They asked him if he had a Discord account. He paused, looked at the ground, and stated he did, but it had been deleted, and he had not had it when they had been at that current residence.
And at that point, did they leave, or was there any other discussion?
There was a very brief discussion about the bullying he had experienced in the past. They stated they were going to take his word for the fact that he did not say anything about school shootings at that time, and then the conversation with him concluded, and they left the scene.
Now drawing your attention to October of 2023, was the Department of Family and Child Services involved with the Gray family?
They were.
Okay. And so in October of 2023, did they have an open case with them?
They did.
At that time, did Colin provide any information to DFACS about counseling?
He did. Colin stated that all of his children were in counseling at the Barrow Ministry Village. That has been checked into, and Barrow Ministry Village does not have any record of those children attending any counseling.
Okay, and that would be including Colt.
That's correct.
Now, moving to November 17th of 2023, what happened on that day?
On that day, Colin purchased Colt a firearm from Mike's Gun Room. That is a M400 6-hour automatic rifle.
And you said it was purchased by Colin for Colt.
That is correct.
And what was the occasion?
He stated that he was purchasing as a Christmas gift for his son. It was to be a replacement weapon for a firearm he had previously purchased for Colt earlier that year as a hunting weapon. Colt did not like the way that that firearm had shot, and so his dad took it back to the store and then later purchased that 6-hour firearm in November.
And that Christmas present that was for Colt, was that the weapon that Colt Gray used in the shooting?
It was that weapon.
Moving to December 19th of 2023, what happened on that day?
On December 19th, 2023, Colin ordered a laser sight for Colt's automatic rifle from Amazon.
Okay. And then moving to June 10th of 2024, what happened that day?
Colin ordered Colt a tactical vest from Amazon.
Okay. And are you familiar with the kind of plan that Colt had written out about the school shooting?
I am.
Was his plan to wear that vest?
Yes, we do know from detailed notebooks that he had written in about his plan for the shooting that he had intended on wearing that vest.
Moving to August 11th of 2024, what happened that day?
On August 11th, 2024, Colt texted Colin, his father, to stop by Academy Sports, an outdoor store, and to pick him up 150 rounds of 5.56 or .223 ammunition.
And is that the type of ammunition that is used in that 6-hour rifle that he had purchased?
It is.
And then August 15th of 2024, what happened that day?
Colt asked his dad to buy him a Fiachi bore sight in a text message.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear that.
A Fiachi bore sight to go on the firearm. Colt asked his dad to buy that for him in a text message.
Okay. The day that Colt asked his dad to buy him that, had Colt been in a fight with his mother that day?
Yes, he had been in a fight with his mom on that date.
And what was the fight about?
It was about his possession of his firearm and having weapons available to him. They had gotten in an argument over it.
And did his mother want Colt and Colin to put the weapons up?
She did. She had indicated to both of them that she wanted the weapons locked away so they were not accessible.
Okay. And so after that fight, is that when Colt asked his father to buy him something for that gun?
He did, yes.
And then the next day after August 15th, on August 16th, did Colin order that bore sight from Amazon for Colt?
He did. He ordered the Fiachi bore sight from Amazon the next day on August 16th.
Okay. I'm going to draw your attention to August 18th of 2024. What did Colin Gray do on that day?
On August 18th, he sent a submission form to the Enlightenment Counseling.
Okay. I'm going to show you this. Can you read what that submission form stated?
Yes, I can. So, Colin emailed the Enlightenment contact. He stated, I am a working dad of 3. Colt is my oldest, 14 years old. We have had a very difficult past couple of years and he needs help. Anger, anxiety, quick to be volatile. I don't know what to do. I have United Healthcare. Can you help? Thanks.
And that was August 18th.
That was.
And now I'm going to show you another contact from Enlightenment on August 21st. Did Enlightenment follow up with Colin?
They did.
And what did they tell him or ask him?
They stated, hi, Mr. Gray. I hope that you are doing well. I wanted to follow up and let you know that I tried to call you to touch base on Friday and left a message for you today as well. If you could please call me back when you have a moment to discuss details and get services started for Colt. Sincerely, Enlightenment Counseling.
Did it appear that Colin had followed back up with them?
No, he did not.
Moving to August 26th of 2024, what happened that day?
One of the counselors at the high school, Lisa Butler, actually sent Colin via email a form to fill out for the AWARE counseling. Colin did complete that form.
And did Colin Gray do anything else that day?
He also ordered a unisex half mask for Colt. On that same day, we also know that Colt spoke to his grandmother, Deborah Polhamus, via phone about the Parkland shooter and asked her, if something terrible happened to me or I did something terrible, would you still love me?
And as far as that mask, was there any indication that Colt had also intended to use that mask in his
Yes,
plan?
there was. That was also in his detailed plan.
Going to August 27th of 2024, what happened that day?
On August 27th, at approximately 2:02 p.m., 3 calls were made by Deborah Polhamus, that's Colt's grandmother, to the Advantage Mental Health Clinic in Athens, Georgia. Deborah, the phone was answered by clinic staff who helped determine who would be best to speak to her on the phone. She was transferred a couple of times to different employees, who then the last employee answered her questions. She told Advantage that Colt was having intrusive thoughts about hurting himself. The Advantage Clinic stated that they would have to have a parent come with Colt to the clinic, but that he could come any day. Best day for him to come would be Saturday, August 31st, and they were told to just walk right into the clinic. There was no need for an appointment, but as I stated, the parent must be present.
Did anything else happen on August 27th at school?
Yes. Colt actually had an anxiety attack that day at school. He was taken to the counselor's office where he remained for the rest of the school day. Colin was actually called by personnel in the high school's counseling office, and he refused to pick up his son because of work.
The next 2 days, August 28th and 29th, were those school days?
They were.
And did Colt attend school?
He did not. He skipped school both of those days.
And then August 30th, was that a holiday?
It was a holiday, so he did not, of course, attend school that day either.
And you indicated that on August 31st was the date that they were intending on taking Colt to Advantage Behavioral.
That's correct.
Did you have a discussion with Colt's mother, Marcy Gray, about that specific instance?
I did.
What was the plan?
The plan was that due to the fact that she had a warrant out of Barrow County at the time, Colin was going to pick her up in his vehicle in Macon, Georgia, and they were going to go to Athens together to take Colt to Advantage. That was the plan that had been discussed for that Saturday. She informed me that the night before, so that would have been Friday the 30th, she spoke with Colin over the phone. They got into an argument over whether or not the firearms at Colin's residence had been secured, which she had been informed by another child had not been secured. Due to that argument, she stated that Colin did not pick her up in Macon the next day, and in return, Colt was not taken to Advantage. Marcy stated that Colin stated he could not pick her up due to not having money for gas.
Now, moving to September 2nd, 2024, was that also a school holiday?
That's correct. There was no school that day.
And was September 3rd a school day?
It was.
Did Colt attend school that day?
He did not. He skipped school again that Tuesday.
Now, moving to September 4th, the date of the shooting, around 8:30 in the morning, did Colt text his father, Colin?
He did.
And what did he say?
He sent his dad a text that stated, "I will text you in about an hour. It's important. Please answer when I do."
Were there any follow-up texts from Colt to his father?
There were. At 9:42 a.m., Colt texted Colin again. He stated, "I'm sorry. It's not your fault. Know I love you and Jenny and Coley. You're not to blame for any of it."
And did Colt also text his mother?
He did.
And around when did he text her?
He texted her at approximately 9:50 a.m.
And what did he say to her?
"I'm sorry."
What happened after Marcy received that text?
Marcy called the school at approximately 9:50. She was on the line with them for approximately 8 minutes and 29 seconds. During that call, she spoke with Lisa Butler. She explained that she, Marcy, and Colin had received some very concerning text messages from Colt, and she wanted the school to put hands on him immediately and determine where he was inside the building.
Okay. And while Marcy called the school, did Colin also call the school?
He did not.
Now, what approximate time did the school shooting begin?
The school shooting started at approximately 10:22 a.m.
Okay. Now, moving to Colin Gray's home, was a search warrant conducted at his home?
It was.
And is that home, where is that home located? I guess in Barrow County.
It's in Barrow County.
What day was that search warrant completed?
It was completed the afternoon of September 4th, which was the day of the incident at Appalachian High School.
Were guns located in the home?
There were.
And approximately how many guns?
There was an AR-15 located in the home. There was a black and color shotgun located in the home. There was one black Glock located in Colin's vehicle, and then there was one black BB gun that looked like a real gun located in the kitchen. And then later, I actually received a text message from Marcy indicating that when she had returned to the house later that day after the search warrant was complete, she had located a tan and color handgun in the floor of Colin's bedroom.
As far as the assault rifle and the shotgun, where were those located?
The shotgun and the rifle were located in the top of the closet in the bedroom that Colin and Coley, his youngest son, shared.
And how old is Coley?
He is 8 years old.
And were the guns secured in any way?
They were not.
And whose guns were those?
Those belonged to Colin.
Was anything else at the top of the closet?
There was also ammunition as well as multiple magazines that could have been used in that firearm as well as other firearms.
In addition to the ammunition that was found in Mr. Gray's closet, did y'all locate any other ammunition in the house?
Yes, ammunition was located in multiple rooms inside the residence, including Colt's room, which was also the laundry room. There was a green tin of ammunition, mixed caliber ammunition. There was a plastic bin inside Colt's room that also had loose ammunition inside of it. There's ammunition found in the cabinets in the bathroom that the family shared, as well as in a lab-style mask that was located in Coley and Colin's bedroom as well.
And we're going to go into more depth with the interview you did with Colin Gray, but in that interview, did he talk about that green tin that you said y'all found in Colt's room?
He did. He indicated that he believed it was in the garage of the residence.
And did he indicate what was kept in that green tin?
Yes, he stated that the ammunition was all kept in that green tin.
Were there any writings of Colt Gray's that were found in the house that were concerning?
There were.
I'm going to show you. A couple of them. If you could just describe, or if you want to read what the writings were and kind of approximately where they were located.
Yes. So these were found in Colt's bedroom. This is a crumpled up piece of notebook paper. It says, "Fuck this life of mine." It appears that he's kind of talking to himself while he's writing. He says, yeah, that was good. So yeah, I hate this life. Anyways, I'm just about to my breaking point. I am, and then he does a list, depressed, eager to die, horny, delirious, and then he spells something that doesn't spell a word. He also says, well, yeah, that's about it, nothing else here. We also found a letter that he had written that he left in the gaming room where he kept his computer. It says, just know it's not your fault. You tried your hardest, not only for me, but for Jenny and Coley. Forgive me. As for what I've done, it's out of my control. Know that I love y'all. See ya. We also located during the execution of the search warrant a notebook in Colt's bedroom. It had pretty detailed drawings of a stick figure that he had labeled you, so him. It then says, shoot the teacher first. There's another stick figure with a bullet going through their body. It says gut shot. There's then pictures of two stick figure students. It then says the students next with an exclamation point next to their desks. It then shows what I believe he's indicating is a deceased stick figure lying on the ground. Him again wearing his hat with the gun, shooting towards those two students he had drawn at their desks. One of them appears to have a head wound, and the other one is yelling in horror. And then it shows his stick figure again with the word suicide and a smiley face written. He shows the stick figure shooting himself. We also found another notebook in that same room. It was a drawing of a rifle with what appears to be ammunition coming out of it, and then the word kids written past the ammunition.
And you indicated that they were found in Colt's bedroom, and then also Colt had a gaming room.
That's correct.
Was the gaming room his only? Is that like he would only be the person to go there?
Yes, that's what we understand. It was his gaming room with his computer in it.
So with those two rooms, were these writings hidden underneath the mattress, or were they just kind of out in the open?
They were out in the open. The letter specifically that he had written to his family was sitting on the computer desk in plain sight.
In addition to